I want to show you easy dovetails on the table saw, fast dovetails on the table saw as well. Now I've cut dovetails all sorts of ways, and I still do a lot by hand when I have time and I'm in the mood for it. So you can cut them by hand. You can cut them with a router, which I've done a lot of in a template. You can cut them on the bandsaw, and they all work. The bandsaw, to me, the biggest drawback is, generally speaking, the bandsaw doesn't give you the best cut, but it'll work. And it's harder to cut the tails on the bandsaw. The table saw will cut the tails and the pins. You're standing right there. You can do it all at once. And all it's going to take is a little bit of cleanup with a chisel at the end. You won't have to get a special blade. Use a flat top grind, and I'll show you. You don't have to get it cut to a certain angle or anything like that. But you will need a sled, which you probably already have, and a simple jig, two-part jig. And I'll show you how this is put together. This cuts the tails, and this one cuts the pins. Just as simple as that. I'll show you some examples of dovetails cut on the table saw in this method. One of which is this shelf unit behind me. This side and this side, each corner was done with table sawn dovetails, and that is 1 inch wide, and you'll see that is nearly perfect. The problem with the router is sometimes you get tear out. Of course, you have to listen to the sound of the whining router, and most of the time it takes a lot of setup. But this is quick and easy. I make my jigs simple. The simpler, the better. Basically one function, and that's it. When you start getting into making jigs that do 100 different things, it just starts to get confusing, and then you've got setup time and all that. So these are some of the just test pieces that I've done. This is close to 1 inch. This is about 1/2 inch. And here I'm showing you where you can actually do 2 different sizes. This is really thin and 3/4. So, I mean, this is like maybe 3/16 of an inch. So I did get a split off here, but that has nothing to do with the method. I was just testing to see. So this jig is not something that I came up with. I can't take credit for it. I don't know who to give credit to, unfortunately. I'm sure I saw it somewhere, and then I just appropriated it to my needs. And I found that over 40 years of woodworking and doing dovetails, this is by far the quickest, easiest method, and I'm going to show you. So let's go to the table saw. You are going to want to use a flat top ripping blade for this. I use 2 different ones, the CMT right there. You can see the information on it. And I also use this Freud. This has been sharpened, and that's why the teeth have the plastic on it. But basically it's just a flat top grind that you're looking for. I'll try and put a link down below where you can find these. But any flat top blade will do. Nothing special. All right, we're going to start out with this board. We'll start from the top. this board, jointed on one side, ripped to width. It doesn't matter. This is just a demonstration. Then I cut them apart. So I'm going to say this is the top, this is the bottom. So we'll call this tails outside, or TO, and pins outside, PO. Po. You don't want it to be poo. Anyway, two and poo. Okay, so we know this is the top and outside. This is our tail and our pin. That simple. Okay? Tail and pin. We always cut the pins first. It works out good that way. Now, the one thing we want to do is I don't use a marking gauge because I do not like the baseline on the marking gauge. So what I do is I just put it here. I give myself a pencil reference line. And then I do the same for the tail. And on the tails, if you want, you can do the ends too. All right. So there's our pins, our tails. We'll just set the tails aside for now. And we're going to start with the pin part of our jig. Now, the only limiting thing on this jig is how wide a board you have. You know, at some point on the tail side, you know, you start getting down to where you're hitting here. But of course, you can move this cut up if you needed to, as long as you have your blade height. This just seems to work out fine. It's about 6 inches from the end. There's the tails and the pins. Pins outside. We want the inside in. And let me just show you real quick on one that's already been cut. You can use this as an example. We're going to cut to this. We're going to cut to this side. So you want to line that side up with your blade. I don't even clamp this down. I don't find it necessary. You may. So this is pin out. This is the inside. It goes against here. And if you look at it, you can see your straight line here. So you're going to cut. We'll do two tails. You're just going to cut this side and then this side. And then we'll switch it over and we'll do the other side over on the other side of the jig. So this is our outside. We put this against here. And I have a line here just to kind of keep it even, but you can eyeball it. People don't give themselves enough credit that your eye is really good. Now, you can take and you can kind of establish your blade height. You can get it, you know, kind of close and then edge up to it or sneak up on it. We may have to go up a little bit, but that'll get us close. All right, so the first one we're going to do is we're going to cut this one. And you can see how it lines up. So we're going to start right here. Let me get my eyes and ears, and we'll go from here. All right, we'll have a little bit of cleanup here at the bottom, but that's the time-consuming part of doing dovetails is the clearing out of the waste. It's really not actually doing the cutting. I cut a little too deep here. I should have snuck up on it. Not a big deal. It'll just protrude more, but you get the point. I should have I should have snuck up on it, and but anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, so we're done with the tails. I mean the pins. We're done with the pins. Now we're going to mark out our tails. This is the outside, outside. So it'll go like this. Pins outside, tails outside. So it goes like this. So I'm just going to put this up against here, get it lined up. While you look at my bald head, and I'm going to mark it. Okay. This is going to be our waist. Now, here's a kind of a little bit of a trick. If you want to make these look hand cut, you can always make this pin here really small and then cut this tail, this one, by hand. And that'll make it look hand cut. So just a thought. I've done it before. All right, so we need our You can take your marking gauge if you want, and you can get you a place to put your chisel on either side. All right, we got the outside tails, outside pins. Let's put this together. So I went and sanded this so you could get a better look at it. Didn't turn out too bad. It's not glued. Any little imperfections can be pulled up. But it's a quick and easy way to do dovetails, and is very versatile. Okay, let's get our dovetail out of the way. Let's talk about the jig real quick. Both parts are 23.5 inches long. It could be 24, doesn't matter. The tails part is 2 3/4. This is 6 1/4 by almost 5 inches. When you're making this jig, just make sure that you cut all your angles the same. If you're cutting them at 10 degrees or 14 degrees, make sure you cut them all on both jigs at the same angle, or you'll have a disparity when you go to put your dovetails together. Inside here is a little bit of blocking. I don't know if you noticed that or not. But generally speaking, that's it. It's a very simple jig. Works great. The video took a little bit longer, as it normally does. You can do it a lot quicker if you're just moving. Now, if you're doing a lot of drawers, it might be quicker to set up a dovetail jig of some description or whatever if you're trying to knock out a lot of them. But just to put together a quick dovetail joint or a box or something like that, this is great. So anyway, if you've never done dovetails on the table saw, this is a good introduction. Try and make the jig. It doesn't take long. Give it a try. It's a little confusing at first. Make yourself a sample, then use it as a guide, and the next ones go pretty quick. All right. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the chat below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll see more content. Okay. You guys take care.